Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm back with yet another Photoshop tutorial. This one is going to be another banner for your community, and while this one does look a little strange, which it does actually look pretty decent when you drop it down into your community or drop it down to Discord. And it's really applicable to a wide variety of genres and community styles. And there's just some tweaking involved to make this really fit for your community. And if you're looking at it, you might be thinking, hey, I've seen some of this stuff in other tutorials that you've made, and yeah, that's right. I've done this quite a few times, this part in the background here. This overall layout for the banner itself, I mean, the shape, this font, and this banner going across here are all things you've seen in other tutorials. So you could say this is sort of a Frankenstein creation, but it actually, as I mentioned, looks pretty decent. So without further ado, let's get right into the actual tutorial. And I'm going to jump right in by going 1000s by 380. Wasn't even typing. And we're going to start off by deleting the background as always. Click delete. We're going to go to our rounded rectangle tool. Don't need that yet. So we're going to be using our lighter blue. And just double check that's the blue we want. Yep, it is. There we go. This is the right blue, 00B4G9. And we're going to start out by making a rounded rectangle here. Doesn't matter how we make it at first because we'll be modifying it later. Make sure you round it off a bit. Let's say 25 should be decent. And we're going to do Control Transform. And we're going to make this 596, so we're close there. Probably leave it. And this one at 199. So we actually got it pretty perfect right from the get-go. And we're going to center that, and that should be good. Well, maybe not exactly centered, a little closer to the bottom. Next step is we're going to rasterize this because we won't be needing that anymore. Yep. And we're going to do a center thing here. Not quite center, a little bit below it. I'd say about here. We're going to do Control J. Let's make this, doesn't matter what color we make it because we're going to be overlaying it in the future, just orange so we can see it pretty clearly. And drag that out to about here for now and hide that. Control group this. We're going to name this the base layer. And this will be that entire right section that you saw from before. All of that over there. And let's make this red. And I'm right clicking, by the way, to make that pop up. Double click that and make that the base, or name it the base. And then from here we can go into the next step, which involves making that stripe that goes right across on the leftish side. So the color that we're going to want to use for that divider is 0689A4, and that should be perfect. And grab the red rectangle again. Doesn't matter, it can just be a regular rectangle as well. And it automatically pick this new color right there. And for the size, probably this should be good. I think before it was a bit too thick, so it was looking a little off. But that should be perfect. Go ahead and rasterize that. Control T and hold Shift while you're rotating it to make sure you get the optimum angle of rotation. I prefer that. And that should be decent. I might actually make it a bit thicker because it feels a little on the small side right now. How did it get tilted wrong? You see that? Get a bit thicker. Control T. Let's rotate it to about here. That's fine. Check mark, and then highlight all of, let's say, all of this right here. And we'll do Control J right over that, delete it, and just so we can get the parts that were hovering outside over here cropped out, because those parts will be getting in the way later on. So go over here, and actually first, before I forget, we're going to add a 3-point stroke. That's going to be white. Can you go up to 4? I might actually just stick it at 4. And when we cut this top one, we want to make sure we do it right on top of the stroke. And that's good. Here, that should already be fine. But I might actually bring it up a little bit, just so it's not coming down too much. Yep, that should be good there. And we'll name this the ribbon, I guess, ribbon base. And this will be the ribbon. Make this orange. This is actually going to be underneath that, and this will be its own section. This would be the left sticky outie. Going to show that, and it's a bit too far out right now, so let's bring that in. Actually, we might fix that right here. Let's see. Go away. There we go. Click here, and then click down here. No, it's not enough. We need to move it out farther. So click in the corner, and then click in this corner. Okay, that's good. Go ahead and delete this part that's sticking out, so make selection. Click delete, and that's going to chop that off on the left side. And then we have that shape, this shape, and let's actually get rid of the extra part here. So rasterize layer style once again, and we're going to come over here and chop off that extra bit. Won't be necessary. And actually the same thing could be said for this one. All of that is not necessary. And for good measure, let's just go like that. Just to be on the safe side. Cool, that's done. And then we're going to make the little nublet that you saw over here. This little nublet over there. And that's also pretty simple to make. All we need to do is, this was light, this was darker, and now we need to find an even darker color. In this case, you're going to be using 056F85. And let's put the nublet right here. Actually make that yellow or green. The nublet's going to go right here. We'll make the nublet blue. We'll grab our pen tool. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click here. And then it doesn't matter how we click, as long as we get all the way across. I might actually try to make it a bit even. There we go. And hold shift, by the way, when you use the pen tool to make a straight line. And we're going to do shift F5, color, this dark one right here. And deselect that. Now we have our nublet, our piece sticking out, and the banner going across. And that's already looking pretty good. The next thing I want to do before I start doing any more design stuff, or any detail, is add this bottom section right over there. So we'll name this the nublet. And that's pretty self-explanatory what that is. Let's go ahead and hide the base, because we're going to be working underneath the base. And we're going to be grabbing light, but a little darker. So right about that. Not as dark as that, not as dark as that, not as light as that. Somewhere in between these two. And we want to make it so it goes down. It doesn't cross this, but we also don't want it to go all the way down. So I would say start right about here and go down like this. And then we'll shift across to about here. And then up and then across. and we'll do a Shift F5. We'll do a color, hit OK, deselect, and that comes down a decent bit. And what this section is intended to be for is any small text that you have or any images that you really want to add on. And if you don't want to do anything there, that's fine, just leave it there as decoration. So I want it to come out about this far, and actually a little bit farther down. I think we had some extra space up there. About this far, and why are you acting up over here? Hello. Shift F5, color. Didn't make my line straight before. And to get the other side right, we can do Control. Oh, my bad. Circle over this or box over it with the marquee tool. Control J, Control T, and put a negative in front of the 100. Then you can drag that right over here and stick it on, and you have your bottom section. Now I think it's nice is first merge them, drag it over so it kind of lines up with this part going up over there. For this, you're also going to do a 3-point stroke just to match the top, or 4-point, my bad, and a inner shadow. Actually, we'll do that in a second. Don't get too far ahead of ourselves. And this will be the hanging thing. Cool. So this is our general layout, and now we can start going into all of the detail. So to start out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this left little side over here completed. So I went ahead and opened up the files I'll be using. First thing I'm going to do is open the blue-green polygon one, grab your color replacement tool, and I'm holding down over here with my mouse. I'm left clicking and holding, and this is popping up. And then hold Control, Alt, and then drag with the right mouse button to make it bigger or larger, like this, smaller or bigger. And then just come over here and go like this. It's not the cleanest method because you have to bring this back down and go over the parts you missed. And if you re-go over a part too many times, it's going to look terrible. So try to make your going over as minimal as possible. Cool, that's done. We're going to drag this over here now. And this is going to be on the nublet side. I'm going to go ahead and X out of that because we won't be needing that anymore. And then real quick, we're going to add a bevel to this. And we're going to do 95, 8, and 0. That's perfect. It's going to be our clipping mask, and this is why the color didn't matter. You're not going to see the color anyway because it's going to be completely overlaid on top of it. So create clipping mask, Control T, and drag this down until you find a nice corner that you think will fit well. So I'm going to go for a bit darker and like that. That looks good to me. Leave that there. And now this left side right here, this part is completely done. Let's go and get our logo. Control T. And we'll put our logo right here. And it doesn't really matter what you use here. You can do something that symbolizes what the banner is for. For example, welcome. You could have somebody waving. Or if it's info, you can have an exclamation mark. Whatever fits the intent of the banner is what I would say works best here. And for the color, we're going to make it same color as this right here. So we're going to do a color overlay. And then we're going to be doing a outer glow. I'm not content with these presettings, so I'm going to up the size a bit. The spread, opacity. So this looks okay to me. 39,011,6, and we didn't touch anything over there. Color overlay, standard color overlay. Don't need to touch that. And this will just be Discord logo, and we'll put this with the left sticky outie. Oh, I didn't name this. This will be the base. Baser. That works. Okay, that part there is done, and now we can move on to the ribbon, and then it will make our way to the right. From simpler too complicated. Well, quote unquote complicated. It's not too hard to do. And where were we at? There we go. So the ribbon, we're going to be doing a blending options, a pattern overlay. It's not the one we want, but actually since that pattern is still there, let me do that real quick. Where is it at? There it is. I'm going to do a pattern overlay. And if you search line patterns, it should be one of the ones in there. So look for this kind of pattern with an X and a dot at the ends. And it makes this nice X shape down there. And I'm pretty content with these current settings. So I'll leave that overlay, opacity 32, and scale 149. Oh, I forgot. And make sure you also add an inner shadow. That's one of the design elements you're going to see me use a lot. And this is actually a nice setting that's already there. 46, 1, 0, 10. That works perfectly. Cool. And now we're back to over here. We just had a little pit stop. There we go. Blending options. We're going to do pattern overlay. And this is going to be a basic line. Let's pattern. And let's do that one, maybe. Cool, that works for me. So let's quickly copy this before we do anything else. And put it down on Nublet. And we're going to come back over here and we're going to add a drop shadow. If global light is ticked, untick that immediately. Never have global light ticked unless you're doing a project that involves photorealism or something along the sorts, where you have a sun over here and you try to match everything to that. Never use that, because otherwise all of your shadows get screwed up. And I assume that is not something that you want. So up the opacity a little bit. Distance is fine right there. And that should be fine. And don't feel like you can't pause. You can absolutely pause if you have to get settings if I don't read it out. So 39, 629, or sorry, 626. And then click this little arrow to hide that stuff. And we're going to actually go ahead and close out of that first of all, because we won't need that anymore. Bring this over, Control T, resize this down to about here. And that should be perfect. Create clipping mask. We'll do a, let's see, color burn right about here. So you get the texture and the line. I'm going to come back over here because the drop shadow obviously isn't going to work because it's underneath both this layer and that layer, so you won't see it. But just like over here, we can do something else called a inner shadow. Go ahead and untick global light and increase to choke. Let's see. Oh, I know what I did. I didn't make this perfectly right along the edge here. So I need to chop off a bit because right now it's a bit too long. So it's not going to be showing up well. Cool. Delete that. There we go. Because what happened before is I made this way too long, so we just put in the inner shadow all the way over here where the edge was before. But now that I fixed the edge, the inner shadow is showing up properly. Let's see, choke, bring that down. Distance, shouldn't need to touch that. Okay, I'm probably going to go with these settings right here, 41, 0, 27, 6. You can always adjust it if it doesn't work out for you. And cool, and we're finally on to the last section, so what I do quickly before I forget is we'll add in the text and then we'll just hide it for the time being. I'm going to be using Tokyo font and we'll put in rules once again. Make this huge, and we can scale it up even more if we have to. Oh, and the font color, by the way, FFF8E2. I'm going to add a stroke, not white. You don't want it that large either. We're going to grab this blue here, and we're going to make it darker. Pretty simple. Just go straight down the color wheel. It doesn't matter what you choose. I'm going to go with this. That's how 3. 3 might actually be better, and then a drop shadow as well. Perfect. I'm going to actually scale this up a little bit as well. Cool. That should work perfectly. So I'm going to hide that now, and we're going to add in the white dots. And the final step will just be the stars and this pattern in the background, which is also pretty simple. It's a little time consuming though. So we're going to add in the white dots. 3 pixels, make that white. And I believe before I had it at 25 for the edge. Yep, 25, and my bad, it's 2 pixels. And then let's resize this. Doesn't matter how far back it goes, we'll chop that off. And scale that up a little bit. Cool. And now we should make sure it's all centered. It's not quite centered. So let's go. That should be good. Yep, that's 7, and this is 7 as well. And then for the right side, that's 7 as well. Okay, so this edge is perfect. We'll go ahead and rasterize that and cut out the extra bits. Before I forget, let's do the stars. And so we're ending off with this back section here, because that part takes a little bit of time. Cool, so I went ahead and got a star PNG. I dropped this in, I did Control T to resize it down. And I brought it down to a size that's a little big, but it will be a starter for the other stars in this area. And then the blending options are color overlay, and I'm using the same color as this background right here, and a outer glow 41006. And we'll name this star. We'll hide this, Control G, and name this stars, just to keep it organized. And this is the white border, then name it. And with the first star is you're going to Control J and keep this as a backup. Actually, you can move it over here. And Control T, resize that, rotate it, just to keep it a little random so it doesn't all look the same. Control J, Control T, and resize that. And keep it random. Don't want to have any kind of obvious pattern going with it. Come back to the old stars. So I went back to that one. And then Control J, Control T. Come back to this one, resize it a little bit. And then Control J, Control T. Here, let's do that. And then let's go back to this big star. We'll put it right here. Resize that as well, and then check mark, and we'll bring that over here. Cool, now I have stars going across the bottom here, and we're on to our last parts. And this is also going to be under this area. Let's see, how do I want to do it? I'll probably start here, and I'll go ahead and get that file opened up. Okay, I'll open up the file that we'll be using, bring this over, Control T, and we'll make this all down to 30%. Maybe do 31. And the next part is, you're probably familiar with it. I'm going to do a Control G. We'll name this the patterns. And now we're going to separate everything into separate layers. I'll pause real quick while I do that so you don't have to watch it. And I forgot how you do that is you highlight the whole thing and you do Control J, and then if you hide it, you can see now it's just that one shape by itself. So I already made that one, so I'll get rid of that. Alright, so I went ahead and grouped everything onto its own separate layer, minus the Squirtle because it's a bit too blue and it wouldn't be shown up overly well. I'm going to start with a Pikachu, and we'll drag this little guy over to here. And yes, I know to start copying down, it's going to be off here, but I'll show you a little trick that I'll be doing to ensure that doesn't happen. Pokeball, we'll put that off to the side for the moment. Let's do Jigglypuff next, just because he doesn't always get to be in the limelight like this. We'll put the Psyduck right here. We'll put the, let's move Snorlax off for a second as well. The Pokeball. We'll put the, let's say, Eevee right here. We'll put the Charmander over there for now. Bulbasaur right here. Then we'll go with, let's say, Charmander right here, and then Snorlax with a Pokeball right here, and then Snorlax up top. Honestly, for me, this bottom row is a bit too close for comfort, so I'm going to get the Pokeball, and I'm holding control as I do this. Pokeball, Psyduck, Bulbasaur, and Charmander, and I'll drag them down a little bit, because I was feeling a bit too close. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to Control G, group, and name that 1. Control J. If we drag this over, now we can see it's off to about here. 32, and then we'll do it one more time, and you'll see why in just a moment. Cool. So that's there. This is 2. This is 3. Now I can group this and name this 1 again. We're going to go ahead and bring this down, and let's keep it about here. We're going to drag this over, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to make it so the pattern above doesn't match too closely to the pattern below. So I'll put the Jigglypuff right here, laying up the Snorlax, just like that. I'm going to actually go a bit closer as well. Cool. This is 2. And we'll be doing Luminosity for this one. And bring this down to about here. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and merge this group. I'm going to come over here and delete these parts sticking off the edge onto the white border, because we don't want it messing with that. It's fine that they're going in the other parts though. And then for the edge, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our pen tool, click over here, click over here and keep on holding your mouse down, don't let go, and drag to fill this corner. And then hold Alt and drag this part on here on the sticking out. Drag it to where it's right on top of the triangle, or sorry, the square. Then click all the way around to the edge over here. Right click, make selection. Delete that. And there we go. That's done. We show the rules. Oh, let's delete that extra star. That doesn't need to be there anymore. And that's basically it for this banner. I'll have another banner on screen that is equally easy, quote unquote easy. It's a little quicker to make, and it's also really applicable to a lot of other communities. And I'll include all the assets you need to download this file. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.